What are you doing on Tuesday the 26th of September 2023? Because myself and Francesca Amber are coming to the Barbican Hall in London. Our event is called One Night Stand, and this one night event is all going to be about manifestation, crystal healing, and ridding your limiting beliefs to help you achieve your goals. We've curated an immersive experience that will leave you feeling inspired and empowered. Throughout the evening as well, we'll also have interactive exercises, we'll have empowering discussions, and the opportunity to connect with like-minded individuals on a similar journey towards personal growth and manifestation. There'll even be an opportunity for you to ask questions as well. This event is your chance to break free from the shackles of self-doubt and unleash your inner greatness. It's time to release those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back and step into your true potential. And if you want to come on your own, by all means do that. Single tickets are available and seating is totally unreserved, so you can even meet up with your spiritual friends and sit with them as well. Head to @CannyCrystals on Instagram and click the link in my bio. Tickets are limited, so secure your spot and be part of this transformative experience. Don't miss out on the chance to manifest your dreams and achieve your goals. We can't wait to see you there. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Canny Crystals, the podcast. I hope that everyone is well as per usual. I was supposed to have recorded this yesterday, but oh my god, we had 39-degree heat here in Newcastle and I sweated my tits clean off all day. My poor little dog he didn't know what to do with himself, so he just lay on his side all day panting and looking at me for help. And I spent most of the day just spraying him down with water to keep him cool and moving his cool mat around. And then he just decided to lie everywhere but his cool mat. So as I'm recording this, obviously it's Wednesday. This goes out on the Friday, but it's Wednesday today. And yesterday, Tuesday, was the hottest day on earth. But yeah, I know that we're all saying, oh, it's summer, get over it. It's a bit of heat. But here in the UK, our houses are built with insulation to trap all the heat inside. Because, let's face it, we don't have aircon because when do we ever need it? The humidity here is greater than abroad right now. So although I was meant to record this episode yesterday, I physically was just struggling to breathe. So call me a pussy, but I'm recording this and it's cooled down a lot, which is amazing because we've had to put our bed sheets through the wash this morning because last night we were just so sweaty. Ugh. Rotten. Anyway, this week I've got a couple of things to talk about. I did mention that I was going to talk about... What was I going to talk about? MOLDAVITE this week, because the amount of messages I've been getting about MOLDAVITE lately, Jesus, it's insane. But anyway, first I want to tell you about how I've managed to manifest, and get this, £30,000 into my bank account. I'm not lying. £30,000. I'll quite happily put the screenshots on. Should I put the screenshots on? No, because that might look like I'm bragging. I'm not bragging. Anyway, manifesting money is something that I touch upon all the time because, let's face it, money is at the center focal point of life, isn't it? We can't do much without it, and when you do have it, it just makes everything easier. So because of this, I'm also currently midway through recording and uploading a manifesting money workshop, which should be live in the next couple of weeks, I would have thought so, if I pull my finger out, if I fucking get time. But yeah, how did I manifest £30,000, I hear you ask? So, and I'm not telling you all this to brag, like I say, but more to help you to see what worked for me so that you can try it as well to see if it works for you. So, earlier this year, I think you all know by now, I joined the Money Bootcamp program from Denise DePhil Thomas, and I just said to myself that I wanted to make £30,000 in 30 days, and that's how I would gauge that the program has worked for me. Basically, you're supposed to set yourself a target and it's supposed to be achievable and realistic, but kind of still reaching up the ladder a little bit. And I proclaimed this and I said it out loud to the universe, so it was aware of my intention. And at the time, I was probably making around, I'd say, £5,000 to £10,000 in sales on average each month, and it kind of fluctuated as well on a monthly basis. Some months I would also get money off family or friends that owed me money, or sometimes I'd get unexpected checks and overpayments, things like that. So I knew that £30,000 was achievable for me because it was kind of 3 or 4 times what I was making, so it was definitely within me grasp and reach. But I knew that I would have to put something in place to actually get there and take some drastic action, basically. So I set myself away with a vision board at the start of this year, and on it, right in the middle, I had a screenshot of my bank balance, and I had changed that bank balance to £30,000 because I think at the time I had something like £300 in it. So I changed it to £30,000. And then around the outside of that on my vision board, I had a few items that I would buy myself and treat myself as a kind of token of wealth to say, well done to me. Well done, me. I know that sounds like a bit like, okay, a bit materialistic, but there were things like Ray-Ban sunglasses rather than the Ray-Berries that I picked up in Spain the other week for €3 that spontaneously snapped when I wasn't even touching them the next day. But yeah, just some nice things, like materialistic things. And I'm not a materialistic person at all. So I really struggled with this. I'd rather treat people or, like have experiences than buy materialistic products. But some of the other things that I put around the outside of the forged £30,000 bank balance was like a Sonos speaker. And can I just say, how fucking expensive are they? The one I looked at that I wanted was £400. Jesus. Anyway, I put on an iPad, a printer to help us with my business, and I also put on little things like a better dog harness for JJ, as well as like a better bed for him. Like there was nothing wrong with the bed he had. I just wanted like an upper class bed, one that he would be like totally relaxed in and stuff, because he does have like restless night sleeps and stuff. And I was like, do you think it's cause like he's got a crap bed? But anyway, I wanted one of those expensive, them donut beds that help with separation anxiety. You get the drift anyway. But every time I opened my phone, every time I looked at my MacBook, I saw that image. I changed all of my passwords on everything to include the number 30,000. And don't be trying to hack us. It had a load of other stuff in front and behind it. But every day I was typing out 30,000 when I was opening my phone, when I was unlocking my computer, when I was logging into things. And that £30,000, that 30,000 I kept typing in all day, every day, that kept anchoring me and bringing me back to thinking positive thoughts about what it would be like to have that money in my bank account. And I think I got to May, and I remember having such a crap time with my money. I'd made such a significant statement to the universe by leaving my full-time NHS job. And I remember thinking at that time, this is me and my signal to the universe that I'm serious about Canny Crystals and I want to do it full-time on my own. I remember going to the beach one day, and I think it was on the day of a new moon, and I'd sat with my feet dangling in the sea, looking up at the sky, and I just said, come on, give me a sign, send me a £30,000 month. And then guess what? In the month of May, I had my worst ever sales in the whole 14 months that I'd been open. I think I took, in total, and I'll be honest and open about this, I think I took about £3,500. Obviously, that £3,500, you might be like, Martin, that's £3,500, but it's not £3,500 profit. Okay, so I spend easily between £5,000 to £10,000 a month on crystals, like for new stock, easily. I also have like website fees, I have Shopify fees, I have debit and Visa fees, I have PayPal fees. I wasn't even paying myself a wage at this point, do you know what I mean? And that £3,500 would have easily just got soaked up with how expensive it is to actually run Canny Crystals. So yeah, so I went to my life coach one day, Jude, and she asked me to rate my week out of 10, and I think I gave her a 5 or a 6. And when she asked why, I was literally defining my entire worth by how many sales I'd got that week. My entire worth on how happy I was or how sad I was on how many sales I'd got that week. I was starting to question everything. Why was I getting the worst sales ever when I'd just left my job security of the NHS? Why was I being tested when all I was doing daily was listening to positive affirmations, being grateful for everything, writing out gratitude lists, visualising, using my crystals? You get the drift. It just felt like such a test. And I remember Jude specifically saying to me, when you're down, the only way is up, and that you can always get a slump just before you receive something big. And one day at the back end of May, I remember listening to one of Denise Duffield Thomas's old podcasts, and she said exactly that. She called it the demise before the rise. And it really made us think that I was currently in that slump that Jude had talked about, and the only way for me really was to go up. So If any of you have listened to previous episodes, I interviewed Gemma Wilson a few episodes back about being a witch. And I remember at the start of June, I saw on her Instagram story that she was selling a Wealthy Witch bundle. So I bought it. I did the work. I made myself a little sacred space in my office. I burned a green candle with some basil. I even anointed the candle with some frankincense oil. I had my £50 note out of my wealth bowl and I put my crystals on top of it. And every single day that I started work, I would light a candle on there. I would light some incense and I would spend, 2 or 3 minutes just imagining being showered with money. So that was me every single day, every single morning. I kept that vision of achieving that £30,000 in my mind every morning. But I did ask the universe for a sign to allow me to spur this along and just kind of put things into place for how I was going to achieve it. So I was literally doing the most to bring in abundance and wealth. Like, have you ever heard of the compound effect, where everything snowballs over time and the more you do, the more likelihood you have of it coming to fruition? That's exactly how I felt. On top of all of that, what I was doing, I've got my wealth bowl in my feng shui abundance corner. I've got a Chinese waving cat to wave in abundance at the front door. It's tacky, I know, but anything will help. I've also got a red feng shui envelope with coins underneath my doormat. I've got a £50 note in my wealth bowl. I've got citrine in my wallet pocket. I carry pyrite, malachite, citrine, prophecy stone and MOLDAVITE every single day. All of that. And it could have contributed in some way, shape or form. And rather than just doing one thing, why not attack it from all angles? That was my kind of thought process behind it. And then June happened. And as most of you know from listening to this, I had a busy month. I appeared on Law of Attraction Changed My Life with Fran, and then I had her on my podcast to be interviewed. And while I was on holiday, both episodes went out, and I came back to so many orders. My podcast subsequently shot up the charts to #1, and the exposure from this was just absolutely insane. And I thought that this would maybe last a week or two and then die down and go back to normal. But I just continued to roll with it, and I took sales of over £1,000 a day continuously since that date. So since the 24th of June, we are now at, the 20th of July. For the last month, I've taken over £1,000 every single day. And like I say, I'm not saying any of this to brag, but more to help you understand that it is possible. It wasn't possible for me before, but it is possible. All I've done is do the work, okay? It even got to the point where I ran out of envelopes. I ran out of boxes. I was running out of labels and stickers and care cards. And every single day I was running out of more and more stock. And then people were messaging me subsequently saying, when are you next stocking this? When are you next getting this back in? How come most things are out of stock? And I couldn't get on top of my stock for answering messages like that. And I was taking my MOLDAVITE, my citrine, my prophecy stone and pyrite with me everywhere, constantly talking to them, asking them to bring me lots of wealth and abundance. I was even taking them on dog walks with us, mindfully walking while holding them in my hands, and just visualizing their energy traveling through my hands into my body. And then it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago, it might have even just been last week, actually it was last week, that I realised that when I looked at my stats, I'd taken more than £30,000 in a 30-day period. And I will put this on my story because I'm fucking proud of it. Like, I sent it to Jude, my life coach, and I remember she put it on her story that I texted her or something saying I wanted a £10,000 month, and instead I got a £10,000 week. And she put it on a story, and I was like, do I repost that, or does it look like I'm bragging? And that's, like I said, that's the last thing I want to do. But I want to do it to prove that it is possible. So I'm going to put that on my story. So if this is Friday and you're listening, check it out, and you'll see it on my story. But yeah, you know, the moment that you realise, it was that moment of realisation that this was my manifestation coming to fruition. It's such a weird feeling, isn't it, when you know that you did this and it's because of what you've done. And yeah, at first I was like, oh, this is all because I appeared on Fran's podcast and this is why I now have £30,000 in my bank. And although that's partly true, I still wouldn't have had the £30,000 in my bank if I'd appeared on the podcast and then not taken any inspired action and not sent out any orders. And I'll be honest, I had tears and everything some days. I was packing orders for the entire time I was awake, the whole 16 hours, without eating. it was draining. So yes, my manifestation came true, but it didn't just magically appear to me through thin air. And that's what a lot of people think that manifestation is, and it's not. Okay, I had to work for it. I still had to take that inspired action, but every action that I took was aligned with my goal, and that ultimately is how it came off and happened. So last week, to celebrate, because it's not often that I do drink, I bought myself those sunglasses that were on my vision board, them Ray-Bans. And when I looked at my vision board to see what else was on there, I realised without even thinking, I'd bought myself the iPad and the printer for my business earlier this year. I'd already bought JJ's new expensive dog bed and harness. In fact, I think there was only 3 things on my vision board that from the start of the year that I hadn't yet received. And that was the baby, the Range Rover and the mansion. Materialistic as fuck. So I think I've done pretty well considering we're in July, and I've ticked off 11 things off my vision board already that I thought were just a pipe dream back in January. And to all of you thinking it, because my friends and family all asked the same questions when I told them about my 30,000 month, no, it's not all profit. Like I say, in fact, I'm still taking the same wage out of the business that I was getting when I was in the NHS. And that's just enough to cover my bills, my mortgage, my car payments, my fuel, my food, the electricity, things like that. Because then I'm able to pile all of the money that I earn back into Canny Crystals and make it bigger and better than ever before, buying new products, new lines. I mean, at one point, I think I had over 1,000 products for sale on my website. Like, that's insane. And I'm doing all of this from my spare bedroom, do you know what I mean? So not only am I buying new products, for example, like I said last week, I've outsourced my social media, so my posts can be scheduled and posted without me having to give it any thought. Obviously, it's still going to be all me, don't worry. I'm still recording the videos and things like that. It's just that they're going to schedule everything for me. They're going to look at all the hashtags. I'm still engaging through comments and messages, but the posts with the crystals, the benefits, things like that, they're all going to be posted at the most efficient times with the most efficient hashtags on. And that enables me time to not have to go and find the pictures, find the correct hashtags and all that jazz. And it's really time consuming, believe me. So next I'm looking at a unit. Okay, so last night I spent loads of time looking for units, like a business style office within Newcastle, just so that I can move out of this spare room because I've truly outgrown it. Like, I would love to show you a picture right now. So it started off with a little trunk, box kind of thing that I used to just open the lid and all my crystals were inside and I would pick them out. They would all be bubble wrapped and stuff. Once I got to over 500 crystals, I was like, this just is not feasible. So then everything took over the windowsill. Then I had to get a 2x4 calyx unit. Then I ended up upgrading that to a 3x4 calyx unit. Then I upgraded it to a 4x4 calyx unit. Then I've used the top of the calyx unit. I'm utilising the top of the radiator. I've got a massive desk at this side. It's an absolute nightmare to pack orders. And I find myself tripping over my own feet because I don't want to stand on crystals and don't want to stand on packages when I'm packing them. I need a bit of space. I've truly outgrown this place. And I can't order, for example, more than 100 boxes at any one time because I've just got nowhere to store them here in the house. And I can't order more than 5 of each crystal because, like I said, there's over 1,000 different crystals now and I have no storage space. Whereas if I had a bigger space, a bigger office, I could buy more, which would also be a load off my mind because currently I must get 3 to 4 deliveries every single day. And that's not a lie. 3 to 4 deliveries every single day. I'm always back and forth to the tip with cardboard boxes. So going back to my point anyway, yes, I manifested £30,000 in 30 days, but no, that doesn't mean that I'm going to build myself a swimming pool in my back garden, as much as I considered it yesterday with the heat, but it's helped me knowing that now I don't have to worry too much about the setup costs and legal costs of hiring a unit to move my business into, and I know that that £30,000, although I've hit it only once, I know that that is feasible. And if I can manage to keep that up, can you imagine £1,000 every single day for a year? That's £250,000 turnover. How crazy is that? But something else I noticed last week as well that leads on from all of this, and see if you can answer this yourself with a guess, but guess what I stopped doing when I hit that £30,000 mark? I noticed that since then, I haven't meditated once. I haven't done any subliminals. I haven't done any tapping or positive affirmations or visualizations. So it's really made me question myself as to why we do this. Why do we stop manifesting when we receive our manifestation goal? Why don't we just set a new goal and continue the roll of the ball? Like, why do we stop completely? Surely if we've got the momentum going, we should just keep on going, right? And I spoke to a couple of friends about this, and it made them think too, because they'd also done this. They'd reached their manifesting goals, and instead of setting a new target and working towards it, they just suddenly stopped. They had weeks whereby they just wouldn't do anything. And it's not just manifesting either. Like, I thought back to the 75-day challenge that I did back in January and how that ended in March, and I vowed to carry on, but did I? Absolutely not. And now I just don't have the motivation to get back on the gym train. I'm there most nights, but I hate it again. So why as human beings do we do this? Why do we give up when we reach the summit instead of just really pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone and continuing on that upward journey? Think about what we could accomplish if we carried on up that ladder and we continue to reach for those stars. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what manifesting is all about? Creating a goal that you want to achieve and then cultivating that discipline and those aligned actions that would obviously help you receive it. And I don't have an answer to this, so if you think you've got an answer, please feel free to DM me. But I want to know, why do we stop manifesting when we reach our goals? I just thought I would leave you with that rhetoric question because it's quite an interesting thought and hopefully something to help spur you on if you've recently stopped with your manifesting goals. Anyway, I'm already more than halfway. Oh my God, we're 20 minutes in and I haven't even talked about MOLDAVITE yet. So, if I had £1 for every single message I get on MOLDAVITE, I would be a millionaire. Let's face it. I get multiple messages every single day on about, I want to use MOLDAVITE, but I'm so scared that it'll make me bankrupt, homeless, living on the streets with no family or friends. And I guess I kind of want to make this episode so that I can signpost people for all the info they're going to need on MOLDAVITE, but as well as to say, don't be so bloody stupid. MOLDAVITE isn't evil, okay? It's not. I think I've touched on this before in my TikToks or previous podcast episodes, I don't remember. But what it does is it accelerates time for you energetically, okay? So if you're going through something and you want to be out the other side, it's the perfect crystal for you to use. And I went from setting up canny crystals to leaving my job. I started canny crystals in March 2021. I started using MOLDAVITE around January 2022, the start of this year, and by March I'd handed in my notice. So what is MOLDAVITE? Let's rewind, go into more detail. It's not actually a crystal, but it's something that we call a tektite, okay? So it's actually a natural glass that was formed as a result of the heat from an asteroid impact. I think it was about 15 million years ago. The hot glass obviously was sent flying across Europe, where it was continually mined until recently. And tektites are a group of impact glasses formed by meteorite impacts. And the reason I say it was mined until recently is that because of the popularity of TikTok and crystal healing in general, the want and request and need for MOLDAVITE shot through the roof. I'm sure I remember reading something a couple of months ago maybe saying that MOLDAVITE sales had increased by around 96,000% since 2019. And I think that kind of speaks for itself. So it comes from Europe primarily. It's particularly like in areas along the Rise and Steinem craters. And these two craters are thought to have formed 15 million years ago because of like a crash of a meteorite across southeastern Germany, breaking into pieces as they approached and kind of displacing the pieces across the land. The MOLDAVITE basically solidified in the air before impact, and a significant portion of it then fell into the southern areas of what is now Germany, Austria, and the Czech Republic. And I always get asked why it's so expensive, and it is expensive for a handful of reasons. And firstly, the majority of MOLDAVITE just exists in tiny little sediments, and much of it kind of remains deeply buried in the earth, and it can only be found in a few regions along with the impact of the craters. And this necessitates careful and extensive measures to remove it from the ground, which obviously leads to a higher cost. The MOLDAVITE that has been found over the past few years has been quite easy to mine in accessible places, but most of these mines have now since closed down because they simply mined all that they can find in these easy to reach places. Another reason that they can be expensive is that the moldavite that is found in these areas is usually found in the form of droplet-shaped particles that are only a few centimeters in diameter. And given how small they are in their raw and natural form, the process of kind of refining moldavite as a gemstone and a crystal, cutting it to be worn in jewellery, that chips away delicately at an already small piece of moldavite. Larger pieces are very difficult to come by as a result of this, which makes even seemingly small pieces of moldavite kind of rather friggin' expensive. So for anyone that's seen my moldavite in my videos, I wear a small piece in a necklace, but I also carry a larger piece with us daily, and the larger piece is no bigger than the top section of my thumb, from your joint to the top of your nail, but that cost me about £300, and it only weighs 11 grams. Like, it's not even a packet of crisps. It doesn't even weigh the same as a packet of crisps, and it cost me just under £300. Unfortunately, because there is a limited supply of moldavite, there's no likelihood of it naturally forming and showing up on Earth again. Like other crystals grow in the earth, they grow underground, they would form again over time. But this wasn't grown on Earth, okay? It's the impact of a meteor. So the cost of moldavite has gone up and up because of the limited supply mixed with a demand from those more spiritually focused on the healing properties and TikTok and stuff like that. And that's resulted in many counterfeits trying to create more natural looking surfaces on imitation pieces. And that's something to really look out for, because there are a lot of fake moldavite pieces on things like eBay and Amazon and Etsy. So be very, very careful, okay? So the price and value of moldavite all kind of depend upon the colour, the size, and like I say, a gem quality piece of moldavite, it would be very brittle, and it has to be used carefully, because most of the time you see it in earrings or on pendants, and the durability of moldavite is very similar to most man-made glass, which means it can't be used safely for things like rings, okay? So why do we all go crazy for it? What are the health benefits? Many people believe that moldavite came to Earth to help the planet transcend its current state, which is why moldavite is heavily used for healing rituals of the Earth chakra. And when you think about it, moldavite is also used for those who want to amplify the vibrations of other crystals. There are claims that moldavite has metaphysical properties such that if you gaze into a piece of it while meditating, you'll find that it's easier to connect with the higher powers in the cosmos and within your higher self. Moldavite is also believed to have metaphysical properties that enable you to transcend time, as I mentioned earlier. And for that reason, many people find the crystal useful when they want to engage in a past life or explore the path that their soul is taken in any direction of time. Healers will use moldavite to help remove emotions and clear the aura of any unwanted baggage from past lives, and moldavite is also believed to heighten a sense of self-awareness, and it just helps people who are seeking to uncover emotions or feelings that keep them stuck in unhappy situations in the present. And those individuals will be able to uncover those things that are trapping them in an unhappy present and kind of just move forward with their life. Technically, it's been around since it landed on the planet roughly 15 million years ago. However, it wasn't until 1786 that moldavite was actually introduced to the scientific community. And the term Moldo is because of the Moldo River in the modern-day Czech Republic. That's where the first pieces were uncovered. So it's called MOLDAVITE, okay? So it was found in the Moldo River. So what will you use moldavite for? So people have started to focus more on their chakras, and they've turned to moldavite to help them align with their heart chakra, their third eye, to improve memory and brain balance and qualities, to use as a talisman that might bring good fortune, to wear around the chest of the necklace to help with, the heart chakra for love and relationships. And there are loads of reasons why, but not one of them is bad, okay? And I don't know if you've listened to my episode of Law of Attraction Changed My Life about manifesting with crystals, but in it, Fran mentioned that she was petrified of moldavite. But honestly, you don't need to be. You honestly don't need to be scared of it. Some people do find it quite intense and nauseating to work with. And I mean, there was one time a few months ago where I'd had a moldavite delivery and they were just out on the table in my living room, and one of my friends was coming round, so I just popped them behind a picture frame in the middle of the table. My friend had been in the house about 5 minutes before she started asking why she felt nauseous, and as soon as I mentioned the moldavite and I gave her a piece to hold in her hand, she instantly knew that it was coming from that. and as soon as I moved the MOLDAVITE out of the room, she was fine again. So odd, but some people do find it very intense. I also had someone purchase one off me about 3 weeks ago, and the next week she found out that she was unexpectedly pregnant. She already had 2 children, so it was totally unplanned, and she was more than happy with her family, but now she's getting an additional child, and she's blaming me. But yeah, when it comes to working with MOLDAVITE, you can either wear it, you can carry it, you can put it in your home somewhere significant, but treat it just like a crystal. Cleanse it, set its intentions, tell it what you want to achieve by using it, meditate with it, visualize with it, just do your thing, okay? Anyway, what I'm trying to say overall is that the price and request for MOLDAVITE is only going to increase, okay? It's becoming rarer and rarer. I do have a few pieces on my online shop. Obviously, these have been mined in reputable and ethical mines that I work alongside, so I can guarantee that they are authentic. However, if you do want to shop, don't forget you can get 10% off with your discount code, which is podcast. Just enter the word podcast at checkout. But yeah, let me know how you got on working with it. I'd love to hear more of your MOLDAVITE stories. Just don't blame me if it accelerates you into a life with 3 more children than you already have. But yeah, let me know. You can DM me on TikTok or Instagram. I'm at Canny Crystals. Please, 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 if you haven't already, just leave me a review wherever you're listening to this from Spotify, Audible, Google, iPhone. It's free for you to do so. It takes about 10 seconds maximum. You don't have to sign up for an account or anything. Just even tap the 5 stars. That would be amazing. Podcasting is free and I don't get paid to do this. So please, please, please leave a review, which helps this podcast reach new audiences. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the sunshine. It's a little bit overcast today, but it's still bloody warm. It's still 26 here in Newcastle. So just remember, stay hydrated, drink plenty of water, and I'll see you all for another episode of Canny Crystals, the podcast, next Friday. Thanks very much for listening, guys. See you next Friday. Bye. Come and join me in the Manifest with Mart community. For just £10 a month, you'll get exclusive access to my app and you'll join all the other beautiful souls in the Canny community, where each day you'll be held accountable to making your dreams and desires come to fruition. You'll also be set daily and weekly challenges. There's a chat room built in so you can talk to people in real time, and you can also pop over any questions that you have in the Q&A forum and I'll answer them for you. It's changing people's lives, and we've already had so many people manifesting things in the first 2 weeks alone. Each new moon, I'll also be going live within the group on a face-to-face video to help you get the most out of the lunar cycles, as well as answer any burning questions that you have. And these live meetups are so powerful, and everyone in the group has had nothing but praise for the safe space that we share. There are very limited spaces for this community, however, just to ensure that I can place my focus on you and nurture you into the ultimate manifester. So if you'd like a spot, please be quick and reserve your seat now. Head to cannycrystalsacademy.co.uk and choose the Manifest with Mart option, where you can get instant access, and what's more, you'll also get access to all of the past recordings and chats too. Join now and start living the life of your dreams.